this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Ring.
Here.
Larson.
Here.
Edwards.
Here.
Swinford.
Here.
Okay, typically on our agenda, we leave citizens' time for anybody who is a concerned citizen or the way we run our board. If there's any citizens out there who want to stand up for citizens' time. Okay, we'll look good. So we'll move on from that then and go to minute approval. We got two sets of minutes here, so.
Right, and I have a correction for the November minutes. I don't know if we want to look at the tape, that might be a little bit long. But what's here is the second part of what happened. What occurred is I made the motion to approve, Pam seconded it.
That mess, yes.
That mess, right.
Okay.
So if you agree with the timeline, we can probably save the tape.
Okay.
So I made the motion to approve, you seconded it, we had a discussion. The thing about the windows came up. Ken called for a vote. We voted without the windows thing. You made the motion to include the windows thing.
Amend.
I seconded, which is what's here, and then it passed. Quick, let's vote before he gets up here.
Aye.
So you want it amended to that?
The minutes aren't really a minute. I mean, they're just corrected to
Yeah,
that. I mean, these are
corrected.
draft minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Until we vote on them, they're draft.
I do remember all that.
Okay. Did you capture enough of that, Denise?
I don't think so.
This is the first set right here, right?
Yeah, this is the original.
So you're on page what of that?
Yeah, it hasn't changed. So, yeah, if we insert I made the motion, Pam seconded it, we discussed it, we called for a
Which number are
vote.
we on?
This is E.
Okay, E.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was Washington Street building, though. That's not the one with the umbrellas.
No, this is Winterham 2.
Winterham too, yeah.
This is
Gotcha.
Winterham with the windows.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Right. The only thing they wanted was just a change in the windows. Wow, and that was,
Really loud.
yeah, well, let's see if I can.
It's
I'm almost hearing
working.
an echo back
It's
there.
working.
Yeah.
I know, I'm the same way.
That's why mine's over.
Yeah. Could be.
Okay, right. To amend the alternate glass. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, what we're showing here is a unanimous adoption in the first round when it was unanimous.
That was the second round. What we're showing is the second
Second
round.
round.
See,
This
we got unanimous adoption, then we got a unanimous amendment. What we
Oh,
did is
oh,
we
oh.
threw this one out
Mm-hmm.
by voting nay on this one, right?
No, we voted
voted yes.
yes on this one. Pam didn't vote. We all voted yes.
Okay.
Then Pam, so it is corrected. My mistake.
Yeah.
Correct.
Sorry. Never mind.
She's like, what? Did I do that in my sleep?
Right. So, yeah,
so
so
that's good.
Pam didn't vote on this one. She made the motion to change. We adopted it unanimously.
Right.
So it's good.
Well, other than Pam didn't vote.
Well,
But other than that.
but I can
yeah.
abstain anyways.
So, yeah, go ahead and strike Pam's name for voting yes. And then we're good.
For the first round.
Yeah. Okay, I was looking at the old minutes, sorry. All right. I make a motion to approve the November minutes as amended.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Anybody have any full thoughts about that? Okay, I guess we'll put it up for a vote then. All in favor of passing November minutes with the correction of Pam Swinford not voting on Section E of the Certificate of Appropriateness is first round of voting. Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I did abstain.
Any
From the
nays?
first one.
I'm abstaining too, I wasn't present.
No, I mean, I'm voting aye on this, but I did abstain on that first round. If that's what the confusion is.
I was not present, so I'm abstaining for November minutes, that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
There you go.
All righty. Okay.
I make a motion to approve the December 17th minutes.
Okay, I got a motion. Take a moment for a second. Short Robert's rules. but-
Second.
Okay, got a second.
There we go.
Motion and a second, but I'm not going to do that until we discuss bylaws, so. Okay, I got a motion and a second to approve the December minutes. Any discussion?
Yeah,
Yes.
I was present, but on item number 4, the Washington Street rebuild, it says I am not present.
Did you show?
Did you
Glenn?
show up late?
No, I was here for the
I don't think you voted on sheets, if I remember correctly.
Oh, you
I don't
didn't?
think you voted.
Yeah.
because I hadn't been part of the other discussion, that's correct. So would that be okay, abstain, absent, I guess, it's the
Absent,
same
yeah.
thing? Okay, fine.
Any other discussion? Okay, I got a motion and a second. I guess we'll call this the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any abstains? Okay. Okay, both minutes pass then. Just put into record. Okay, before we continue on, I'd like to suggest that we change the amendment and, or the agenda, and amend the agenda to put in another COA that came in a little bit late.
Okay.
So I move to change the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion, you guys? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any abstained, nays? Okay. Then, since we just changed the minutes, we'll discuss this one first for the certificate of appropriateness.
Right, and this is ZP
So this is Water Street.
2015-0121,
Yes.
which is your fence. Is this just a one-for-one replacement? No change in color, no change in style? Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So any motion then?
I make a motion to approve ZP 2015, I can't get away from that thing. ZP 2015-0121 at 14971 Cheyenne Way, a replacement fence.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? It's a one-for-one replacement, so I don't think there's anything. Plus HOA has already approved it for them.
Yeah.
So, we'll call this to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Okay, we're good to go. That's all we needed you here for. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming. Sometimes we have questions, but
And there is, if you need it for your records, there will be a signed copy. Okay, yeah. That's,
Ralph, maybe you could turn it like that.
maybe, yeah, I mean, because that's,
Your voice
I'm
is
getting
just
feedback,
well,
yeah.
your voice is very
yeah.
deep
Okay.
and can project it. Okay, all right. Sorry. Did Jen do something to the sound system? Oh, well, that's awesome.
We
though.
got
I
some
mean,
more speakers in the ceiling.
It'll be-
Speaker was in last time you were here?
I've been out for a month. Remember?
Okay, that speaker's new too,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
Okay, that leaves us to the next agenda item. Is this really a certificate of appropriateness, or is it just a intent?
It's an intent.
Yeah, it's just an intent.
Discussion.
Okay. Okay, we all got the packet. right into discussion on this. I don't think there's any motions required. We'll let the architect say a few comments if you would like.
Yes, you know, these are 5 lots over on Blight Avenue.
Yes.
And they're all putting it down towards the north side, more traditionally proportioned down on the Washington Avenue, Blight Avenue intersection. But we have the 5 houses here, and they're all side load garages with the side loads on the south side, except for the lot 52, which has a side load garage on the north side. Come in the corner, and it's elevated out a little bit better that way. And should I be talking into these microphones, or
We can hear you.
everybody can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's whether the recording can hear it.
Yeah. So.
Yeah,
What's our
we
mobile
normally pick
one?
up Marchand, so he's probably, or just turn on one of those.
Oh, all we need is a mobile one.
Hello?
Actually, I thought that was the common area for that development behind, is what I thought that was.
It's the lots, they've always been lots.
Because I remember when we were talking about the town hall up there at the, I thought that was
Right.
land that was going to be possibly somehow used for
I
that.
saw your renderings finally.
Oh, did you?
I did. I like them.
There it is, okay.
Well, thanks. It was a little exercise.
All right.
Well, but not.
Yeah.
They're still there.
So anyway, trying to elevate these out and have it be so it fits in the building footprint was a little hard, but we got the plans to work out okay. And then you received a copy of the preliminary street elevation, lot 48, 49, and 52, and then this is 52 from the Blight Avenue side, 52 from the Washington Street side. That's why there's a little gap there like that. But you know, a series of gables and the roofs going up and down, kind of like what's been traditional Virginia architecture with shutters and bay windows and whatnot. And, I worked particularly hard on this on the lot 52. On the lot 52, the corner lot, to bring the roof lines down on the corner so it turns the corner nice. We have a nice gable end on the Washington Avenue side. We have another equally nice gable on the Blight Avenue side with an entry here with a little metal roof there, so the roof lines come down so it doesn't look like, we got to the edge and we sliced it off like a, butter cutter kind of thing. So that tends to kind of turn the corner a little bit like that. So, and the rest of them are, pretty straightforward stuff like that. So.
What size are these lots?
Or more importantly, what's the square footage of the houses?
Yeah, the square footage of houses there, I think they're in the neighborhood of 2,500 square feet.
Really?
And that's with the basement?
No, not including basement or garage. Just we typically don't include basement or garage.
So will there be unfinished basement to these?
Yes.
2,500, huh?
Let me see. Oh, no, here we are. Lot 48 is 1950. 49 is 1883. 50 is 1967. 51 is 2293. And 52 is 2,500.
What was 48 again?
48 is 1956. And we'd love to get more in there, just from a business standpoint. But lot 48 is pretty much maxed out to the building setback lines. And I like the whole 25 feet. We could probably bring it this way more. There's a combined thing. I forgot what it is, but I like the whole 25 feet from the garage side to the property line, so you didn't have a chance of getting a car in and out of the garage.
Yeah, it's so thin. That's why it looks so
It's
thin.
so-
See, these are all. This is my 25 feet. There's a 25-foot line there. There's the 25-foot line here. So I just had this box to work in. This box, so basically all the houses are maxed out to the what we can build from a legal standpoint and from a practical standpoint. You can't fit any more houses on these lots. Here, this one comes out a little bit further than 25 feet because the garage is right here, so a car can still come in this way. This is the family room, I think, coming on that side.
The driveways, they're separate driveways, right?
Oh yeah, they have I probably should have drawn this in, but there's a 20-foot wide driveway coming in this way, 20 foot coming in this way, 20 foot like that,
Okay, yeah, I just wanted, since you had a driveway on both sides, that it was not a communal driveway for the.
No, the driveway here, driveway here, driveway here, driveway here, and driveway there.
Right, that would be the only option for the combined driveway, but it's not.
So every single one of them is on the left-hand side of the house.
Yeah.
Except for the last
Except
lot.
for the last lot, right.
So should someone choose to finish the basement, is there enough room to have a walk-up or a walk-out?
No, the lot. I haven't done a detailed study of the topo, but the lots are fairly level, and from past experience, there'd be no room for walkout. We can have an areaway where we can come out and walk up steps, but there's no room for bona fide.
But that's all there's room for is a walk-out.
We'd have to have about an 8-foot drop from the front yard to the backyard to have. Actually, the grade slopes the other way.
Pretty level, yeah.
So we have, typically we can put in an areaway, either 3 feet or 6 feet wide, so somebody can haul stuff in and out. And we have to put an egress window in there, but the grade slopes the other way, so we can't do a walkout.
So these literally are all to the property line, I mean.
Yeah, here's the envelope right there. So I can't. I wish it were different, but it's not. So.
So these houses are bigger than what's back in.
No, I'm not so sure. The lots don't look any bigger. If you look at the thing that, Ralph,
And you look at how close they are. As you go back in there,
they're
again,
packed in there.
just like this one, they've hit the setbacks. There's no spare space in there.
So now, do these rendering, these elevations, they match kind of what's in the back property, the other part of the, correct?
Oh yeah, the first phase of Haymarket Village. Yeah, there are different kinds.
Did you give some thought to maybe making them more of a craftsman style for the buildings that are on the other part of the property that the town owns now? I mean, did you?
We were trying to match more of what was in the phase one.
No, and I understand. But I'm just thinking, we have those two craftsmen that are on that property now, or adjacent to the property. And you don't see the homes in the back. I mean, it's just a thought. I mean, I'm not saying go back to the drawing board or anything, obviously, but.
No, we could put, making it a craftsman look, since I have all the gables working and that kind of thing, is fairly minor changes. We wouldn't be having any shutters. We'd maybe having the eaves come out a little bit more, so we can put the brackets underneath of it. We'd have instead of having like a siding kind of thing like this, we'd run a band board across here, and above it maybe have a different color siding or a different type of reveal, like a 4-inch reveal as opposed to an 8-inch reveal. Those kind of things. And instead of I showed, just for this little sketch, I showed 6/1 windows. Craftsman style would maybe have just a one down the middle, 2/2 or something like that.
Yeah, but I don't know, and when you go in here and you take a look at the way these are laid out, the short side of the house is facing the street. Here, the long side of the house is facing, they're not going to look the same. I mean,
yeah, it's two different kinds of
It's very,
things.
very different styles.
Oh, absolutely.
The other houses we had like 20 or like 28 feet wide.
Yeah.
20 something like that with
The lots were
30
narrow.
foot lots or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're more deep. Plus than that, we had more garage door on the front to deal with. We just couldn't help it with that piece. So the garage door in the front.
Yeah.
We had 16 feet of door in the house that's 26 feet wide.
Now, how far along are these in design, in the sense of, do you know what pitch these roofs are?
Yeah, I like to make the gables here. These are what we call 10-12 gables. 12 inches and divided in 10 inches vertically. And the front to back pitches are either 10-12 or 8-12.
Okay, because looking at Lot 52's design, it looked like you had a really steep pitch there. I didn't know if it was just interpretation of the drawing
That
or.
outlot is very square.
That's a 10-12 pitch also. Bring it down and maybe a little bit steeper because I got a stairway in there and I got a clear headroom and that kind of
So
stuff
that's
going
not
on.
as steep as what it looks.
Now, I mean, it looks great that there's trees and everything there, but how are you gonna get trees really in those lots?
Actually, you're right, he has
Yeah,
one in the middle of
there is no
in the middle of his driveway there, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's
Back.
just a, you know, I mean, there's plenty of, yeah, just a rendering
Back,
thing,
yeah.
you know, I think there's a telephone poles and wires and all that stuff going on there too, so. But that's just, you know, there's, you know, there's driveway, but there's, you know, there's landscaping here and here and here in the front. I'd like to get some nice landscaping. Actually, in talking with the builder, and what I would have liked to do, except it just wasn't going to happen here, I didn't think. I would have liked to had, actually we had one rendering with, my first little go was having fencing going all along the front. It has some connectivity going on like that. Except with these double driveways, the fence is kind of, you had 60 feet of fence, 20 feet of nothing, 60 feet of fence, and in the middle of the 60 feet you had a gate and that kind of thing. It just looked, it looked, to me, it looked totally disconnected. You want fencing to be going down the walk and with the moon gate thing and that kind of thing. This didn't happen here with all these driveways going on.
And there's not gonna be any sidewalk either then, I mean, basically.
Any what?
And there won't be a sidewalk, will there?
Yeah, I don't know what the site plan shows on it.
There's got to be.
Yeah, it's got a
There's gotta
sidewalk.
be,
Yeah,
oh, okay.
sidewalk.
So there's gonna be a sidewalk in that spit of a front yard they have, there's gonna be a sidewalk that runs through there.
They'll be pretty,
That's
they will
tight.
read close up
That's
to the,
tight.
Yeah.
to the front, which is not such a bad thing for a township to be that close.
Yeah, I like to,
We have a
I like to
front
bring
end.
them close, you know, in other jobs, bring it, get the street wall going, that kind of thing, as opposed to setting it back.
Can I comment? Okay, I think that Pam is right on the money. By far, the strongest relationship these dwellings have to any other structures is the Sears buildings right in their backyard. I mean, those other houses, phase one, that is way back there, nobody's gonna see them.
Yeah, directly off
The,
the,
you know, Pace West School in front of them,
yeah, with the park-like.
Park, yeah, exactly.
design,
So there's
going
no
on there.
Virginia colonial-ish architecture right in that neighborhood. I mean, across the street perhaps, but the absolute strongest archetype in that section is the Sears homes. Another positive, if you did convert these to a Craftsman style, I would suspect we would get a lot more siding, shingles, shakes, the like, as opposed to the inevitable brick front, 3 sides of siding, which these are going to be equally visible from the rear as they are from the front.
Correct,
So
coming
these are going
down
to be
the,
extremely, I mean, that's a field right there with the Sears homes. You're looking at across them when you head east, and you're going to be looking at people's backyards. So with that in mind, we actually might get more siding around the entire structures, a more unified look from the front and the back, since they're going to be equally viewed from the rear as the front. So I would definitely be in favor of converting these to a Craftsman style to draw from the, as far as I know, we're not looking to rip those other buildings
No,
down.
they've actually determined that the Sears buildings are sound and
Yes.
that they can be utilized if we so choose, whatever plan we choose. They are sound buildings that can be used.
Right.
So they do not need to be demolished.
And again, you know, little small towns that we're trying to be is, you know, they have their little, you know,
Unique,
1919
separate
to
sections of
1920
road.
section where they grew up and had a series of these Craftsman type homes. The other thing that I'm noticing that
Craftsmans are very popular right now, too.
actually they are making a pretty big comeback. True.
Now, I just want to make sure, right now, we're only under discussion, so, you know, nothing we're saying
Yes.
is binding.
Oh, yeah, it's all great
This is
feedback.
just thoughts
Yeah,
that
yeah,
we want to
feedback.
toss towards you, so.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a fence line in the back?
Separating it from the Harover property.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the site plan's showing, I don't know.
Have you,
That's not his
have you guys
purview.
submitted a site plan to the town?
I have no idea.
Yeah, see, he's just the architect.
I'm just the architect.
So,
I'm sure that there's going to be.
Somebody else's job.
There is, isn't there, there's
Yeah, they
fencing.
gave me a copy of the site plan.
There's
but
not
the two line
fencing
little thing with
behind.
The setbacks and all
See,
that
I can't
stuff.
remember.
I don't think there's fencing.
I can't remember if there's fencing
Yes, yeah, I haven't seen the site.
along this
No, no,
line.
the
along this
original,
line.
phase one.
Yeah.
Along the back. I don't think there is fencing.
No.
I can't.
No, they just, there's
No.
trees and shrubs and such, and they just, like, you come out of your basement and you're right there.
There's usually some kind of screening between developments, whether it's a
And-
fence or whether
right.
it's, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there'll be some, which might help, but
Well, at that point, you're not looking at the back of the house, you're looking at the second floor. of
at
that
some
house.
point, yeah.
Yeah.
At some point when it all grows.
There's no fencing.
And these houses are not interchangeable. These are designed
They're
for that.
lot-
Specific for the lots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the way I have the floor plan set up is, they're all different.
Which I like.
Except lot 49 and 50 is the same house. You can say I got the same kind of footprint, except here I managed to bump it out a little bit more and I'm looking to get this is basically the same house, but it's a totally different look.
Right.
But other than that, the way the geometry's set up, all the rest of them are lot specific.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna build these once and that's it. We're not gonna be building them somewhere else.
Which I totally like the individuality of the
Yeah.
houses.
Yeah,
I
I try to get
do.
a different look. I mean,
I absolutely do like that.
I try to do it all. I do a lot of production housing. You try to build the same house, but have it look totally different. Like these two houses look totally different, except this one comes out and you can see another 3 feet. And then I have a recessed doorway here, where this doorway is a little bit different. Looks totally different. So it's but the rest of these houses are one-shot deals, and this is built twice.
Yeah, the lots are so odd.
I still got to once I get further down the road, I got to send this to the engineer to make sure we're a couple inches in because that's how tight we are.
Yeah.
Given my dimensions, we normally have when we're tight like this, have a fluff of like 6 inches all the way around in case somebody messes up. But that's when we can work within that tolerance and get it within the setback line and
Well, that's,
25 feet off the line for the garage door and that kind of thing.
yeah, when you said extend the eaves,
That's pretty
tight.
close.
Yeah. No, we had that problem at Green Hill. Eaves came over the lines, and that was a real problem.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Does
Back
that
in the
count?
day.
I got
Count the market for
18 inches
setback
on one
purposes?
side and 12 inches on the other side.
What was that question?
The eaves count hay market for setbacks purposes? I mean,
That's a planning commission thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what it is specifically here, but typically they don't. I mean, if you come out the typical 2 feet or whatever.
Yeah, I don't remember what the specific is, but that's we can find out if Marchand's got a site plan. I mean, that doesn't deal with us, but it'd just be interesting to find out if
Well,
there's.
it deals with him. He needs to know. He needs to know if his house just shrunk by 2 feet.
Yeah, but also from, you're asking the question about sizing and stuff. I mean, I think we want to build as much square footage as you all do because the prices are up and everything. If you have to shrink everything down, the 1,800-foot house is going to become a 1,600 square foot house.
Right.
Right.
Well, I asked mostly because I think, and I've never voted on a development before, but typically I think the vote is we approve these 8 models or whatever it happens to be. When we do this, are we going to approve a model for a lot? I mean, that's more of a technical for us.
Well, I think it comes
than-
together as a total plan, and the plan
Yeah,
will be
this-
that the house specific for each lot, so
This
it's
is
a,
unique enough that I
Yeah.
think it's a
Yeah,
total plan.
I look on it as a total package and not separate out lot 52 from, we're doing the whole thing
just,
Yeah.
yeah.
as a total build out. I mean, the
They're
amount
not
of connected like
individual.
townhouses as far as the whole package.
Right.
There's
Yeah,
not
but then,
any
then we
room
can hold
for-
up. We can hold up one lot because we don't like another. That's by the way.
You're an evil man, John.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I mean, I don't know how everybody else feels, but I am throwing
Well,
out there the
my
whole
question-
Craftsman.
My question was, is that the council's intent is to leave those buildings there, so.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
It is. So,
So yeah, a Craftsman flavor would probably be more
I think it's
agreeable to
Yeah.
us.
Well, if it's got-
Just to
you're not
try and
looking
blend in with what's going to be behind those buildings.
And also, you're just noting that these are going to be very visible from
The street.
the rear of the buildings.
Wow.
So,
The
each
back is
side-
just as important as the front
The
in
back
this
is
one.
just as important as the front. So if you can spend some time, not instead of spending nice brickwork on the front and then running your J channel around each rear window, that would not be appreciated. So if you can, again, and I guess I would like to see some elevations, rear elevations. Yeah, not detailed, you don't have to do super nice detailed ones in the back, but I would like to have a general idea of what is happening in the back.
Sure.
Yeah,
So
Rob,
that,
I heard that the builder agreed to landscaping along the backside of these properties, so 10 to 1, there's probably not going to be a fence, it's probably just going to be foliage.
Like the other, yeah, like phase one.
Well, that may, depending on what they do back there, that may, again, affect what they've got, the setbacks there. Because if there's going to be common area, a strip of common area in the back,
15 feet is what they said would be landscaped.
but is that going to be
Is
common
that
area?
Marchand?
Or is they going to put
Yeah.
landscaping
Okay.
in on the individual lot?
Texting us.
Good, thanks, Marchand.
No texting and driving.
But truly, a lot of stuff we're discussing right now, though, is,
Conceptual.
well, it's nothing, it's feedback that he can't use because it's all about site design.
Well, I can use the
I don't know,
craftsman feedback.
he needs to.
But the feedback, yeah,
Yeah, that's
any
very
type of building feedback.
Because I've
would
got
be
the
more
bones of
appropriate
it
for
working
him.
where the craftsman isn't gonna produce any
Right.
potholes at all. I got the roof pitches going, I got the windows in the right spots and all that stuff. It's a matter of paying attention to the craftsman detailing and the band boards and
Yeah,
And
determine
also
whether to
craftsman
go with
is-
siding or,
And craftsman colors is a very important kind of thing also.
Absolutely.
There's some horrendous things out there that probably look good in a little vinyl chip or whatever. The road looks horrible.
And Ken, I would argue, as an architect myself, like, this kind of feedback is important. I mean, what's going to be happening behind buildings, what's going to be happening on the sides, overhangs. Yeah, that's all
Yeah.
important to him. So, yeah,
And
and this is a
like we said, I
conceptual
guess-
conversation we're having, so this
And
is
to
this is the
repeat another
concepts
note,
we're talking.
the rear of these buildings will be seen, so they just can't be like a lot of houses where they put all this ornate detail in front and then they just put a flat side on the back.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So a little bit of detail on the back to, I guess, balance out people
Well,
coming on the other
Even in
direction.
phase one, we put, typically when you got the siding down and it hits the top of the concrete wall, it sticks up 8 inches above grade, it's correct to have like a band board going around there instead of just running the siding down and you start the thing. In the back of those houses on phase one, we have the band board going around all around the back, so it kind of gives the whole wooden part of the house visually something to sit on and kind of terminates that.
Excellent. That's fantastic. I'm glad you noted that. Although, again, just kind of some streaming here. We're phase one was way back there. That we were as a board, involved with and we cared about, but we care a lot more about these. I mean, these are every single
On Main Street.
person
Right
on Main Street. They are right there for everybody to see.
Yeah.
And they're really right as you come into the town. They're just as you pass, that school is where the town starts.
Yeah.
So this is your welcome to Haymarket on your right-hand side. These are important to us, right? So,
And if the Harover property does become public use, which I think is a big intent as far as to become a public use, then there's going to be people coming and going off that property as well, that it's all in view.
yeah, we are. So, yeah, what was happening back there is one thing, and you pointed some nice things that are happening there. But these 5 lots are very predominant to the
Unique.
community and unique. So yeah, I guess really nice, Pam, the whole craftsman idea, again, tying it into the Harrow property. Lot 52 is right up there on Washington Street, our main thoroughfare through town. Actually, I do like how you were trying to pay attention to that corner lot. I'm just hoping that you're cognizant of that relationship to our main street with the side.
Yeah.
And I see that you have paid some attention. I don't know what's happening inside on your floor plan. I throw out there, just could there be a side door on that elevation, which could act as a front door potentially? Because, you know, what you're showing here actually does seem as though it could be the front of the house with one really nice side.
I assumed at first that it was in front of the
Yeah,
house. that this
it
was a
actually looks
sixth
that
lot.
way.
Yeah, well, I had to get two fronts going on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
But
And
I
then
One
the
front,
face
one
shape.
side and the back.
correct.
Yeah.
But I kind of wondered, could you make that a front? Or would it be appropriate, or could it be a side door? I don't know. But I would challenge you to really look at that, to see if it would be possible with the floor plan,
Yeah.
possibly with a side door.
Yeah, one thing I could put a door there. One thing I was running up against is this.
You got nowhere to go.
This evil setback line here. I like to get doors with cover over them. It kind of defines the door, not only, and it makes it more usable.
Yes.
You know? And here, I'm coming out like this is like 3 feet, and I like to get porches and stuff at least like 6 feet wide. I mean, 3 feet does nothing for anybody.
True.
You're gonna fall off
and
of
I
it.
can't. So I was
Exactly.
unable to do it here.
the door.
With this, you can see what I'm up against with this turn like that. So that's. I'll certainly can revisit the issue, but that's I went through that a little bit during the first.
I know your builder's gonna, want the square footage at the
Yeah.
same time, but it's at the same time, there's certain curb appeal.
Yeah.
And if you could, again, if it suits the purposes, to push that wall back and give you that 5-6 foot. You're right, 3 foot, 4 foot. I don't do 4 foot porches. I don't myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that 6 foot porch.
Do you want
Yeah, you can get that side porch, maybe without a door, but with the side porch somehow in there, a wraparound. I don't know. And I'm not sure if that would work or not, but
I think that's where it's kept.
something like that could be your answer
Well, for a formal
to tie the corner lot.
Can I just insert something really quick? Were you given any specific guidelines from the builder, like what they wanted from you, or just to go with the rest of the?
A little bit. I've been working with builders for 15 years, and we're pretty much on the same wavelength. So when he called, I live in Annapolis now. So when I worked for him, I lived in Middleburg. So he called me and came over here from there. But we're on the same. We've been working together so long. There's really no, preliminary communication on stuff.
Okay,
Other builders may be different, but not the same.
okay. I was just wondering if he gave you constraints to stay within, or?
It's just, when you do come back with an actual certificate of appropriateness, obviously, we just need a lot more detail about the landscaping,
We
the
just want to make
sidewalks.
sure we're kind of going down the right road.
Well, I mean,
I'm
can I-
fairly confident we were, but we are, but the input about the craftsman style and that kind of thing is helpful for the next, we're looking for the next, go to the next.
So can I ask, obviously, John and I are on that thought wave.
No, my only concern is, are we gonna, change the look of the Harover property? If you do that, then there's no point in making this go to
Oh,
the.
no, I agree.
There's not an intent.
Absolutely, but from my understanding,
There's not an intent right now,
we are
and both
staying
buildings
with
are
those
sound.
2 buildings. They're not going anywhere, as
And
far as I know.
they're hoping,
Yeah, that
we're
was my
hoping to
only
incorporate it
question.
into the plan, yes.
Yeah, that was my only question.
I'm not saying that they'll both be salvaged, but definitely mine.
And again, like Pam said, Craftsman's
Quite popular right now.
re-emerging right now, so
But
that might get
do you gentlemen want to see maybe a second elevation that includes a craftsman style versus this, or?
Yeah, I would like to see a craftsman style, just to see what it would look like. Like I said, we're just looking at a discussion here to move forward, at least
Right.
to allow the architect
Right.
to move forward more towards something to finalize and give us a formal application on, in which we can get down to the details. And you're familiar with our design guidelines that we have, and also, I guess he has access to the comp plan to show, the kind of design, how we've partitioned our areas off for different design sections, and how. So I guess you can have.
Are you talking about the
access-
ARB guidelines?
Yeah, the ARB guidelines, the comp plan, which kind of shows the architectural
Which he can
structure
definitely be
of
in
the
touch
street
with
plan.
Marchand about.
Yeah,
Marchand
so,
Snyder is the
I mean,
person to.
we can recommend that you look at that stuff as well. But truly, I think the Harover property definitely sets the stage of what was happening in that time frame in that portion of the town. And it would be best if we could see something that might fit in with that styling.
And
with the crafts.
attention to the rear too, since you're gonna see that coming
Yes.
from the other.
I definitely think it's right off the main street.
And I don't know if you've had a chance to see those properties in the daytime, it's of course the night now. Well, I'm sure that you can have pictures sent to you. I wouldn't- yeah,
Yeah, I'm familiar with
Oh,
it.
The
okay,
Sears
great.
buildings,
Yeah, I
yeah.
wouldn't
In
necessarily,
fact, we did, for another builder over in Maryland, we did a bunch of Craftsman style, and I copied the tapered side window detail. on it.
okay.
We loved it.
Yeah, that's exactly, that's exactly where I was going, which is I wouldn't necessarily use those as your model, as your,
Well-
I wouldn't want you to borrow too heavily. I'm actually looking at these as a great way of uplifting those, I mean, those are
Right.
what they are.
Right.
And they are Sears
There are
homes
Sears
from the
buildings that
1920s.
don't exist.
But, you actually have an opportunity to do some really nice craftsmen.
Right.
And
What were you saying if you'd like them a little
you'll
nicer?
actually, and in so doing so, you'll actually pick those up and, make everything work together.
Yeah, these are gonna look, I mean, they're gonna be the same family of architecture, but they're gonna look different. I mean, they're gonna be taller houses, and those are shallower roof pitches. We're not putting those on here, looking like a 412 roof pitch.
Right.
These things will look Ryan Homes all over it, so we're putting steeper.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a different kind of thing, but a lot of the same stuff going on.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm good. I mean, is there anything else you wanted to ask us, though?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think the next step, I'll take a look at the Craftsman look and maybe come back something with a little larger scale. I think this is 16 scale, so I can just fit it on a 36-inch sheet or something else. But for the next step, maybe be like 8 scale. That's what
Okay.
that's what I normally design at, so it'll be like double the size.
Great.
So we can see.
More detail.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I like the fact that they're individual, that they're unique.
If you want that
Yeah,
lot, you
I
get that
agree.
house.
And that fits in with the Sears homes completely, right? I
Yep.
mean, they're a single buy.
Yep.
Correct. And so, yeah, and again, I don't want to repeat myself too much, but yeah, but as far as the rear is concerned, yeah, one of the things that, I mean, we have lots of examples of it, but, the facade, the front facade getting one treatment and the rear of the buildings getting another treatment, as in siding. I'd like for you to, if you can, just tie
Wrap it around.
it together,
Yeah.
tie the whole project.
Yeah, and one thing, let me just bring it down. Craftsman style typically doesn't have a lot of brick to it. And of course, some boards say, we want brick. Like brick makes a nice building, and there's plenty of ugly buildings made of brick. So we're not going to probably have a lot of brick on this job.
Good.
We have a lot of
I think
brick.
we have
We've
to-
got a lot of
Yeah.
brick. I'm good with that.
I mean,
Yeah.
people think they hang brick and marble on it, it looks great. Sometimes
Yeah,
it does,
no.
sometimes it doesn't.
Everything has its place.
Yep. Okay.
And I think that even across the street at those properties, I don't think there's much brick in there either, so they'll fit right on in too.
What, the Haymarket Station?
Yeah,
What do you mean? Oh.
Haymarket Station does have brick.
it does, but it's not polluted
It's a
with
mix.
brick.
It's a mix.
It's a good mix.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll fit in.
Well, I actually like the idea of having something unique.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's the Craftsman houses. You know right where to go. I mean, that's something that if you make everything brick colonial, it's just one big long wind tunnel of brick colonial. So this town was a lot more than just that. So I kind of like the idea of starting to mix with some of the styles that we've had.
Yes.
And if you have to splurge on one, if you can
That
only
corner
splurge
lot,
on
that
one-
corner lot up
corner
front.
lot, all about the corner lot.
Yeah, well, we knew the corner lot would be important, that's why I paid
Yep.
attention to the sides.
Yeah,
So we
appreciate
have
that.
this thing. I think we got the bones of it working there.
Yep.
Great.
Yep. Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Okay.
Okay, well.
Is that it?
Move on. Next on the agenda is town council update.
Well, since,
I'll take, yeah, very much.
You have it, Denise?
Plain here, plain.
Thank you.
Yeah, I knew, when I started looking at it, it's like, really, we need to see what these lots are, because I had never seen them. I knew the planning commission has discussed this before.
Yeah, I didn't realize.
That is
they
a
were-
really
I didn't-
fine balance between where I'm going to put that thing.
I thought it was a single, I thought it was a single lot, I really did.
Yeah. it's-
Surprise.
Yeah. Anyway,
I,
council update.
thanks for the well wishes. Literally got the flu on the 1st, and this is my first full week back to work since I got pneumonia on top of it. So kind of been out of it, but first thing I went back to was the joint meeting that, the three of us were at. So there were some good points. So the code of ethics and code of conduct, there's probably going to be some, maybe less words, some things moved around. Town council will probably go forward with their rendition and sign. And of course, be great if y'all did. You don't have to. It's, obviously an individual choice. So I think it was a good meeting. I think that, the three councils were all, oh, you were there. All the three councils were, we were all there. And that was the first thing I've been back to. So other than that, our planning meeting got canceled because of snow on Monday. So we're just going to go ahead and have the town council meeting Monday. So I'm really not like back up to gear, but does anyone have questions for me about anything with the town council?
Where is the town council with the Harrower property?
It's still in they have gone in and they've done the structural assessment to the houses, and they are solid. They can definitely be used. Now, they might be gutted inside to have bigger space for what we might need, but still saving, the historic integrity of the outside. So, there's no definite plans on how those buildings are going to be used, but so now they're getting to the point where they're going to start talking about the different things that we can do with that property, or suggestions, or, should we even move one of the houses? Should we keep them both? One, combine them? As in, like, you had that plan back where you had both the buildings and came in and actually he tied
That was beautiful.
tied the two together. So there's some thought behind that. So those the next step is for them to start coming forward with some information or ideas, which is, thank you for coming.
Okay, thank you all for your time, I appreciate it.
Drive safely.
So that's waiting on them. So step by step.
Them being council?
No, the developers that, or why can't I think of their name? I can't think of the name of the people that we've hired to come up with the plans. I'm sorry. It's Ralph, I've been out for a month with fever, okay?
Okay. So I asked council, the answer is no, we're good.
Marshawn will know, right?
Marchant knows. I've met them. I just,
Break speed barriers to get here.
who's doing the plans for the Harrover properties?
Listening to what you just said a second
I think my name,
ago. Meetings on the.
I am drawing a blank on who is developing the potential plans for the Harrover properties, the group.
Simple way.
Thank you.
Who,
So
what?
the
Simple
idea
way.
is, simple way,
It is.
sorry, I'm late.
You were here in spirit, it's fine.
Yes, I was texting and driving, so yes, ma'am. Sorry, Mom. When we talked to the Public Works Committee, the idea was to come up with, simple way, it was about kind of three different, options or way to look at it. And I think our plan envisions the property in two ways. One's like more like a park, do playgrounds, other kind of passive recreation areas, an amphitheater, something like that. And then the other part of it was, at the time, we were going to move our facilities down there to make it kind of a larger complex.
Community center.
Correct. So I think what they're talking about maybe doing, like a long-range plan for the property and then some of the, like a phase one, low-hanging fruits, stuff that doesn't, give us some time to vet, does one building go, one building stay, two buildings get connected, buildings get moved. You set up a plan though that you can start making efforts, start planning, start allocating the funding that you need to come up with a longer plan.
So that's who they are.
The 5 lots you were talking about, there is, the developer was, well, two things. One, the lots all along the backside of Hanover and Villages of Haymarket, I mean, they're a mess. I mean, when you walk out your basement, you're at your fence. I really think the small lot, single family was perhaps a good idea, in terms of what they call a neo-traditional and being close,
But not in execution.
They eked out every space. So when the gentleman's like, well, I'd like to get them bigger, I'm like, well, it was the owner's choice to make lots at that. So and we're trying to do a lesson learned from what happened in the back.
Behind.
So there was supposed to be landscaping originally along the backside of the existing units. They've proffered more or less to build that, or provide that, and then they're going to do screening along the shared boundary with Hanover.
So they're going to actually do something along the back of the first phase, okay. All right.
Yeah, but the lots are so small.
Yeah.
Is that going to cut into our property?
Actually, it's on our property.
Well,
They're going to put the landscaping on the town's property.
So there's required screening as part of the phase one. They're going to put that in. The problem is,
We're going to want some
getting more
screening.
sophisticated now, get lessons learned. That project, those lots that front Hanover, in that 10-foot, it was your 10-foot backyard.
Mm-hmm.
It was your 10-foot landscape buffer.
It was your 10-foot
stairwell,
everything.
Your walkout basement.
it was a multi-use 10-foot?
You buy the house, your little sapling's not a problem, but a year
The
later,
tree is.
2 years later, it's obnoxious. You don't know that it was supposed to be there, and you cut it out. So now we've made them separate those areas that are supposed to be the buffer to adjacent uses from their rear yard.
Well, and that was my concern, because if what you do is plant buffer there, that should be on common property, not on individual lot owners. And then the homeowners, and I'm assuming there's going to be a homeowners association with this, I'd be terribly surprised if there weren't, then the homeowners association will be responsible for maintaining the screening, as opposed to, I don't like the screening one, whacking it
Yeah,
down.
I think it
But then you've got no setback, you've got no houses
They
anymore.
belong to the same homeowners association as the other houses, yeah.
So it's been a while since I looked at the site plan, but there was a lot of discussion about where your yards are going to go, survivability, accessibility to it from the HOA. Because they were missing a lot of their original landscaping, either it was cut or they never put it in, they agreed to put it on, plant additional plantings along shared property with the town. So, in terms of the architecture, I think you guys, I shouldn't say power, you have the ability to make strong recommendations. So while the commission looks at the envelope, this is your building envelope, 3-story houses where you have a 1-story school on one side and a 1-story, bungalow on the other, you're going to have this number going on when you're walking down Washington Street. So I think you do have the ability to, from a scale and massing perspective, to say, yes, you can see it from both sides. Yes, you're going to have this kind of monolithic building right at the corner. That's not like anything east or west of it. So, I think scaling it down, maybe making the buildings in the front much lower.
They scale them
The
down, though,
lots.
there's not going to be a whole lot of,
Space, yeah.
They want
There'll be a
the biggest bang for their buck, that's what they
Well-
want.
18-foot, 10.
Right, am I right? I mean,
If
that's,
they got a basement, they can do, 1-story, 2-story.
oh, that's true.
additions to the
Square
roofs.
footage does not include the basement.
Yeah, so, there's things you can do, but to me, it's almost graduated, where you would kind of have a lower structure maybe near the front. Lower in terms of, is it 1-story instead of 2 stories? No, but playing with the pitch of the roofs.
yeah, these are
doing some
pretty
other
steep
things.
pitches in the roofs that he
So
has.
I think it's certainly within your discretion in that situation to make some strong recommendations about compatibility. What I was texting Ken about was, when you're making these recommendations, and if you need something to back you up, when you said, I like this, you say, well, in our design guidelines, it says we need to look at the scale and massing, go back and look at the scale and massing. But do you understand what I'm saying? So you have
Yeah,
this
yeah,
3-story building around the corner, Hanover is like 75 feet back, it's a single story, yeah, it's on a hill. but,
Dwarfing it.
You have this
Yeah.
weird thing going on, so. My 2 cents. Colonial, we are colonial.
Well, that's why we asked
I'm
for
sorry,
it.
I didn't mean to look at you. I didn't say that. Brick, I'm thinking if you drive, I'm going to your neighborhood. When you're driving down Heathcote, from Old Carolina, there's those houses up on the right. It's
Yep.
Piedmont Muse, remember? If you see that they have brick on, what's the weirdest thing, they have brick on the facade that faces Heathcote, and they have brick on the facade that faces the street, but on either side is siding.
Exciting, yes.
And you can see it. So you're driving along and it draws your eyes, like brick, siding, brick, brick, siding, brick, siding, brick. So I like the recommendations, and maybe a compromise, forest-sided architecture on the first 3 lots in, last 3 lots can do the 2-sided architecture, and you're done. So I'm just nervous when you guys have these conversations ahead of time, they're gonna come back and say, well, on this day. So I'd like to just.
No, Ken made it
Ken
very
made a very good
clear,
point.
though, that this is just a discussion.
More nervous for you if someone didn't come back and say, well, you said on this day, so.
That's why we needed you here. But
Now, on the site plan, do you know, is the developer going to continue our streetscape across their property, or is that our responsibility? Are we going to have to buy
they're
back
doing-
property and all that stuff?
No, right-of-way was already dedicated with the original subdivision.
okay.
So we have all the right-of-way that we need for it. They're doing sidewalk, curb and gutter along Blight, and I believe they're doing, because it would be kind of a stub, sidewalk with nothing to go to.
Yep.
Because Pace West and it was on a sidewalk. I think they've agreed to extend their sidewalk to the corner, do a little bus area if kids want to stand on the corner, but they won't be building the brick and other stuff until.
How is there going to be room for any of that?
What's that?
How is there going to be room for any of that on those
So the right of
lots?
way off, the edge of right of way or pavement, they're supposed to go back like 40 feet, 40, 50 feet before they start touching that first house. Front yards along Blythe's like 15 feet. Back of the curb.
Sort of see that. Yeah, I'm not so sure they'd be able to put a little structure there on the corner.
Well, I'm not even talking about,
No,
not structure, but just like a pad. Like a pad.
Yeah, a little safe haven where people,
Yeah.
kids can stand and not be in the grass and not be in the street.
Okay.
So they agreed to do a little concrete apron in the meantime until we come back and tie in the streetscape.
So it's the town's responsibility for the streetscape.
At this point, yeah, we would design and have to construct it, but they've given us, bulk of it's given us the right of way. They give us the right of way.
Okay.
No buyback required.
Right, but they can put it if they want. They have submitted a site plan,
Just do it.
the builder?
Oh, yeah, the subdivision site plan's already approved.
Including these lots.
Yeah, if you look at the zoning map, the lots have already been subdivided and recorded and addressed, I believe.
Just wonder why they never did them in the first place.
Well, this was, it came back 3 or 4 years ago, subdivided, it was in 2 phases. So they did the phase in the back, but that strip of land was included with it, or they had development rights to it, but it was supposed to be a later phase. Came back in, subdivided it. There's a lot of discussion with the commission. Does this make sense? You have this little strip of land with 5 lots, but they had rights under their original plan to do that, so we were, as much as we were able, what to do. But what it brought to light was there was a lot of problems.
With the original.
Yeah.
Might as well try to close this meeting up.
Any more questions
Any
for town
questions
council,
for-
though? Okay.
Okay, we'll move on to planning commission.
We submitted the power line proposal to the council. I think we determined that we had a very full agenda coming up ahead of us.
It's got busy quick.
Yeah, it's getting busy quick.
All coming in at once, I guess.
Yeah. But I don't know that there's anything pertinent. I remember discussing the streetscape here, and I remember that the builder was not responsible for it. I couldn't remember exactly how that wound up, but, and the council approved that.
But we get the sidewalk. The biggest thing is now kids that are in the back phase can be able to walk all the way up to.
Hey, but it's a concrete sidewalk, standard curb and yeah.
Yeah, for our
Yeah,
streets.
right. Which makes, on Blight, it makes a lot of sense. So, okay, and that's it for me.
Swap amendment offer. The zoning text amendments that the commission's looking at for the zoning administrator, you have the opportunity to go ahead and change your decision deadline from 14 days to 60 days. And
Yeah.
that was, we stuck that in there, but I think we told you we did it.
Great.
Basically, the council agreed to change the definition of zoning administrator so that it's an appointed position no longer the council. So we had to go through the whole ordinance and look at all the references to town council and administrator. And one of the things we came across was, let's go ahead and fix that 14-day timeline that you're under.
Perfect.
Sign
Has-
ordinance.
Has Sheets come before you guys yet?
No, Sheets actually it showed up today, and one of the other things too, they submitted with their second submission of the design plan. That's a special exception in the site.
Okay. So it's not anywhere near gonna happen?
In terms of moving dirt, no, we still got months to go.
Okay.
Yeah, they want to sit on it until VDOT gets, or whoever's doing the construction up there gets closer to all the modifications around their property. So.
I have some other stuff to share.
Chick-fil-A,
Please. Yeah, I was going to ask that, my next question. Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A, last time I spoke with them, remember it was the traffic, I don't know if I'd share that with you. The way the median's being closed, and the way they wanted to do their drive-through was gonna be this
Like the
Cluster.
miserable,
point.
like the miserable one in Gainesville?
Oh,
Cluster.
Chick-fil-A's are like that. Have you ever noticed? The one in
That-
Warrenton's like that
Well,
too.
the one over there by the Chipotle is
Well, this one
miserable.
was gonna be dual lane, it was a lesson on that.
Okay.
The problem was,
I don't know that the dual lanes are any better. That one in Leesburg is,
Leesburg,
yeah, the Chick-fil-A that's a dual lane, I'm not sure that that's any better than.
All right.
Anyway, anyhow,
Sorry.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
no, that's fine. So there was a legitimate issue with traffic.
Yes.
I'd seen some friends' comments on Facebook about their conversations with the owner over there. Hopefully that's paraphrased and not necessarily true, but it was a legitimate concern why that was not, it's not us being difficult. I think their next option was to go back. They were trying to stay within the footprint. Although, if you've ever been driven out there, there's pad sites all around there. So they're trying to stay in that footprint and not have to tinker with stormwater and other ones. But I think now the next option, they have to go back and make some larger amendments to the site plan, and that's gonna take a little more time. Haven't heard back from them.
So they still want to come?
I think they do. The last I was heard, it was shelved for the moment. The contract period ended for the first offer. They may or may not be trying to make another offer and come back and adjust it.
Okay.
The sign ordinance, we hired the consultant to redo the sign ordinance. There's some discussions in terms of coming to you. The technical way it comes through is it'll go to the commission. Once the report's done, it'll go to the commission. The commission will initiate amendments to the ordinance and have a public hearing. What I'm going to recommend to the commission is that you be brought in during their deliberations on the ordinance, so that you begin to look at how the ordinance is translated to all our different building types. I've gotten a lot of flack about the sign out there.
Yep.
And when I've told folks, on the Red House,
Washington
the
Street
Red House, the
Building.
post office, and what I had to explain to people is the preference of the owner was to do the tenant was to do a much more attractive sign, but it would have been this big, a wall sign. So I defended you guys and said, working within the ordinance that they're allowed today, they negotiated colors, they brought up a good point. You've seen the elbow caro, they did individual letters on siding, and it's all like
Oh, yeah.
this down the side. So, doing them on the sheer plastic or the sheer plexiglass was to keep it from looking like a wave.
Because
sail.
that's an old building. I mean, it's not gonna,
So, has a modern look to it. Tenant would have preferred to do a different one, but that's, we're dealing with the ordinances that are there today, so.
you really got a lot of complaints on that?
Well, there's the taste police, excuse me.
Yeah. I hear ya.
You didn't hear Dottie come in and,
No.
oh, Dottie is not
I was
happy.
out of the country, I must have.
Dottie is not
I
happy.
think it was certainly within your discretion. I think you guys did a good job of handling the fact that any other option to them would have been,
They have a right to, the problem for the businesses that we have to take into account is that they've got to advertise their business. If people can't find them, doesn't help them.
I fully expect that if we do change the ordinances and they can get a larger wall sign, they're probably going to come in with a much more
Yep.
ornate wall sign,
Yep.
more in keeping with the building.
Yeah,
So.
I think a lot of people will.
So we'll have a signed ordinance. I think that when we're talking with the consultants, there was a push to look at treating the four corners differently than what's down there.
What's the timeline on all this, though? Okay.
Got Payne Lane we're working through across the street.
Okay.
They're gonna have to come to you guys for demolition permits.
Okay.
So at the time that comes through, I'm gonna ask that they submit, what I would suggest is that you wanna, before you approve anything, that you get a better idea of what their architecturals are gonna look like. They have the option, if it's denied, the appeal to tear the buildings down, there's a whole remedy. They can go, they can try to sell it, they can try to dismantle it, I mean, there's all types of things.
They're aware that if they do a demo, though, they need to tell us what they're gonna replace it with. I mean, I'm assuming they have a plan that it is all in one, right?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Well, if they, if they come with a COA for demo, they have to tell us what they're going to replace it with. So would that be then the site plan itself, or just that portion of it? Or, I mean, how does that, whatever buildings they're thinking of?
Right, I think what I would suggest first do is have them come in with a more detailed concept of what they want to do. So you understand, in theory, what you're
Right.
trading for.
Right.
I would have that in hand, and then they're going to need to separately pull permits for each one
Right.
building that needs to come down. What happened last time is the site plan was approved, there was a design that was approved for that original project, but they weren't allowed to pull the buildings down because of what happens. Market crashed, the project got abandoned.
Right.
Their preference probably would have been tear them all down,
Right.
And leave it vacant.
scorched earth, leave it vacant, and hope something comes back now. So
Right.
unfortunately, they've deteriorated
Right.
pretty significantly. I remember what they looked like when I first had moved into town 10 years ago. But, I think you would want to be, work with the applicant, but
Right.
be somewhat strong in your stance about it needs to be clear. I think the other one was, once you pull building permits, then the demo. So if they say, hey, we want to take it down, I said, okay, it's conditionally approved on, when you pull building permits, go. Now I'm going to have to deal with the blight issue on the other hand, where they don't want to touch them until they get their approval, so I'll
Right.
work on that.
So,
Okay.
what are they doing with the one house? Are they
The gingerbread house?
going to pull that down, or are they going to leave that there?
The one we talked about?
Yeah.
Hey, that's considered the
Their
pain
plans
house.
right now, take it down.
Are you talking about Gossam, the corner?
No,
Or the
roof
gingerbread?
building on the corner of Payne and Jefferson. Remember when we first came in?
Yeah,
When we
what's
first
going
came in?
on?
Well, what I'm told anecdotally is the developer attended the parking study meeting, and took the suggestion about getting more parking as a suggestion to go ahead
And tear it down?
And turn it into
So-
parking.
Yeah, 3 more spots, 3
So
more
I think,
parking spots.
part of my comments back to them will be, number one, they're not showing the existing conditions of where all the buildings are, but that, hey, because there's nothing there in place of it, a couple parking spaces.
Okay.
But again, when you point where you start negotiating the actual architecture, I would pull out the plan language, pull out your design guidelines, and substitute I like with our design guidelines recommended.
I would like to see if they're gonna come in, like you just said, have them come in and show what's existing and what they plan on taking down that's there, and then,
A discussion first, like
Yeah.
Blight, like they're doing on
Well, I
Blight.
think they did right. They came in first with the
They did-
concepts,
they
you
did
gave them
right.
some feedback, gave them some direction on where to go.
I see, I wasn't here for.
I mean, in my mind, I don't know that we necessarily want to chain ourselves through all those buildings, but I think it's important to document it. That before they're done, we go document them, do some, because if people, later in the future, if you say, well, what did it look like on the corner 10 years ago, or 20 years, 50 years ago, you can look at the photographs and say, okay, take elements of each one of these. I like your suggestions earlier on the ones down there. Take, not all elements, but take some elements of the Craftsman, take some ones across the street, make it your own, but not cool.
Now, what about, if we do allow them to tear down these buildings, can we put restrictions on the tear down in which the material is sifted through to find, like, when we reconstructed the Red House or the post office, we found the paper scrappings that actually documented history and,
well, technically, when you tear down, aren't you supposed to have an archaeological, like, depending on,
well, if it's
I don't think so.
historic.
Well, I think there's, in your ordinance, there's like 5 criteria. If you agree to take it down, then these things need to happen. I think I don't know if it's a phase 1 architectural or something that says, do a write-up that generally describes the architecture and the building. Now, architectural salvage, yeah, you can say, can you do architectural salvage? Can you allow, town to go in and take those types of things? Like, when I took everything off the firehouse and
I
ran
was just
over.
thinking of the firehouse sign.
Or when I asked Ralph to go over and pull the radiator heater out of Winterham, and that thing was like
But that's
500
incumbent upon
pounds.
the town, that's not the developer doing that. We can't force the developer to recycle, reuse.
No, but we can ask.
request that they do
Oh,
that,
yeah,
or that they allow us to do that.
Yeah, I think just say, allow the town to, procure or secure items which have a history, town, and then,
No, I think I'm sort of a little confused on what you're getting at. Like when they did Winterham, we had an archaeological survey done. I mean, basically some historians went out there and sifted through stuff. They found some pretty cool stuff, a lot of arrowheads, few, I guess some Civil War art. I don't know exactly what was all there, but they did find a few things.
well, there's a gentleman that swears there's a couple of outhouses behind the caboose, in that open area next to where people used to throw all their trash. You could probably find all kinds of stuff. I'm not going to go dig up an old outhouse, but
No,
there
thank
is some
you.
interest. But that's just talking to, hey, before you go break ground, if people are interested in coming out, and like a lot of the Civil War guys will come out with the metal detectors, and you can certainly work with them to say, hey,
Whatever they find comes back to the town.
I think Ralph's point is, can we
Force that.
require them to do it?
Right, at their
But
expense.
people in good faith, I mean, like those people, the Civil War, they'll come out here for nothing.
Oh, yeah, no, but I want to understand the clear delineation between who's paying for it.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
it volunteer labor, which is
Right,
fine?
right.
Is it town fundage? Is it the
Right.
contractor doing it? That's what I want to make sure, I want to, get a clear line.
And I mean, my son is an archaeologist, and they do field schools all the time. These kids have to go to places and do this
yeah.
in order to get their degree. So, I mean, we're surrounded by
I think
universities.
you gotta, it's,
Yeah,
to Ralph's point, just the parameters need to be clear.
Yeah.
Now then.
yeah,
And it's art of negotiation.
yeah.
And they say, hey,
You have to
we're-
make them think it's their idea.
Exactly. Give them ownership of it, make them look great. Say, hey, you can advertise this as the conscientious developer. I mean, there's ways to sell
Exactly.
it and give it to
And actually, Warren, just a point, an aside, and maybe think about that. If that's something that may or may not be required by a developer, is there any way that you could start now, instead of like trying to, so often these things, lay out there forever, and then
Don't wait
a
till the
builder
last
comes
minute to
in,
establish
and you have
it, yeah.
2 weeks to figure out what's on this property, or sometimes 2 days. So, I mean, obviously, the owner may not be interested, but they might say, hey, yeah, let someone go out there and do it for me, and that way he can actually say, well, there
In
was
good faith, I did
yeah,
this.
yeah, this was done 2 years ago, or
Yeah, I mean,
2
it's-
months,
I mean,
6 months ago.
We have good relationships with the developer's a contract purchaser, and then the owner lives down in Florida, kind of Stan Smith. So I think it's
Well,
certainly.
I would think the owner is no sweat off his back to let
He would
people
just,
do it.
they think in their mind, closer to getting it resolved or issued, so I don't think they would have a problem trying to say, hey, you step on a nail and get.
You have to sign a release form and all that kind
Tell
of
us,
stuff.
hey, we understand it's our liability going there, but I mean, yeah, I think we would want to go in there and look at there's some salvage we may want. Maybe you encourage them to say, hey, if there's elements you can salvage as part of the, thing, like if they want to do a restaurant here, have them save it. I mean, there's things you can do, an array of things you can do, but you're right, you need to do it.
I have a fireplace mantle in my house from a house in D.C. Same thing, it was
Well, we have the
salvaged out of
Haymarket Station
a,
sign or the Haymarket Gainesville. So.
yeah.
Anyway,
So-
those are decisions you're going to have to make in fairly short order on those buildings, but I think you have the ability to make some strong suggestions, and you have the tools to do that. But again, you just want to be mindful of it's a trade-off. I get alarmed when the first thing out of their mouth is we want to burn it. So light a match, that'd be the easiest thing, because it's the easiest thing
It is,
for
but-
us to do. But at the same time, I like to counter, well, you're obviously thinking there's a market here for a reason.
Yeah,
And part of it has to do with,
with the history and yeah.
like I say, even Dudley buildings are memorable. It has to do with something that people want to be here, so help me help you.
Yeah. I mean, it's changed a lot in almost 20 years since I've been here, so.
Yeah, I think it's just
else you want to let us know, though?
What's going on with the old fire station?
Nothing, unfortunately.
Okay.
Streetscape, they're wrapping up the
Punch list?
punch lists. Lights keep popping off now.
Yeah.
We are supposed to be following, Jennifer is offered to go ahead and get hold of the Pardos. They own that house behind the Madison shops. Boarded up house with, used to, porch without a stairs.
Oh, yeah.
So, we had approached them about trying to button it up, get the windows secured again. I even suggested just, they'd be agreeable to a group of us going out and just cleaning up the site, getting the debris off, and then just slapping a coat of paint on the thing just to stabilize it.
Is this the little gray house next
Yeah,
to, on Washington Street? The little
It's
gray
pretty
one.
neat, 'cause remember the old balloon style?
I thought, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
But I
I go
thought
in
that-
there, and it's interesting is the walls are actually made out of timbers. I mean, so it's, in that regard.
It's pretty
neat
neat
to look at.
inside, yeah.
Can't be habitable by any means for commercial use, but, talk with the owner, we approached them and say, hey, mothball it, clean it up, get it boarded up, paint it, cheap paint, but just something, get it all one color and just stabilize it. If you drive down Jefferson Street, Jefferson and Fayette, good example, that's on the corner. That house has been boarded up for years. Property's maintained, it's painted, it's not offensive. So do that while they figure out what to do.
I thought we had already approved a demolition for that.
That was supposed to be, that house was supposed to be moved over to this complex as part of Gary's plan.
Yeah, it was. But then I thought that just.
They never came back with a
about-
demo, because demo costs money. So they never
I
came.
was thinking like 5 months ago we did something like that. Okay, great.
Firehouse, same thing, we reach out to them because it's starting to, windows are starting to break, the paint's starting to peel off. One of the bungalow windows, I think, is coming off, so we're trying to talk.
How about the streetscape up Jefferson to the bridge that's going to be put in?
So those plans were submitted to RDA, that has a contract for both that and also the town center plan. They just submitted plans to VDOT and to us to review the sidewalk that would go to the bridge. It's the asphalt path, like a 10-foot asphalt path that would come down. Once it gets approved, it's going to be a matter of timing. You don't want to mobilize everything 3 or 4 times.
Right.
So I think the idea is to try to tie in this project, that project, and the bridge construction all at once. Or not the bridge construction, but them building their portion. They're building a trail to
Hunting path, yeah, I think that's.
Aren't they coming all the way down to Honey?
to Long Street Commons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
All right.
we pick up from there down to here,
Uh-huh.
so we're going to try to do that. So that's within the 18-month period the bridge is going on.
So the sidewalk's on that side?
What's that?
So the sidewalk's going to be
It's
on
on
that
our
side?
side.
It's on this side.
West side.
And it's asphalt, it's not brick, it's not.
Well, it's going to be asphalt to the town boundary, or the town center property, and then next week, we have a meeting with RDA on this plan. So remember, we had
Okay.
3 concepts?
Right.
They took a lot of elements of several, come up with a plan. We're supposed to sit down next week, get that ready to submit for site plan to come through the commission, and it'll also come to you guys to look at, because one thing is we have a 6-foot sidewalk along here. Does it make sense to then have a 10-foot asphalt sidewalk on the side? So there's some discussions of trying to match the architecture of those two. So yeah, we gotta come to you and talk about that. That phase doesn't include the facades, it's just like they want to do some features out of the corner, what they should look at. They want to do some low brick walls. They were thinking about doing like a brick, big kind of seating area along the corner. I mean, those types of elements we want you to weigh in on before they start
Definitely.
spending a lot of time and effort.
Did you say 10-foot asphalt walkway? That's a driveway.
Multi-use path. See it along 15, along
Bicycles and
Lackawanna Parkway, it's a
everything,
shared use path.
The little bike path then?
Yeah, so people can bike into town. But the idea is you bike into that path, and once you get to town, you either get off your bike or you merge into our bike lanes on Washington Street. Pedestrians and bicycles will be together until they get to the corner, and then you split.
I see.
Ice rink will need to come to you too, by the way.
The
Chris Downs
second sheet?
What?
The second sheet?
Yes. We're busy.
Which is good. things are happening.
Rezoning's in on the fairgrounds property.
Okay.
So it's kind of on hold while they get rid of their, while they go through their traffic impact statement. But that's going to require a lot of negotiation because I think the product that we want to do there is something we want to talk about.
Okay. You already see how congested 55 gets just because of the traffic wanting to get across to Walmart.
Yep.
We don't have a flow for the turn lane and everything else. Well, let's get back on schedule. We're definitely
Sorry.
dragging this meeting out. Any questions for Ralph? I guess you don't have any more
Anything
comments? Okay. New business. This discussion was pretty much our new business discussion. Anybody have anything else before we close all that up? Any questions for Ralph?
Not too long of an answer, but anything either for Ralph or Marshawn, the across from the the existing post office, the old traffic circle idea, and anything happening on those? I know that's not
Haven't
in
heard
town.
anything.
There hasn't been any motion on that, has there?
Now, I think last time I spoke with the developer, they had gone back to meet with county staff.
Yeah, Prince William hasn't moved on it either, I don't think. I don't think Prince William's moved on it either.
No, it's not on the commission's document,
Yeah.
county planning commission document, but the last time I heard it, the applicant was asked to go back and reduce its density again. So that's where they are, but the traffic's still on the.
Traffic circle doesn't bother me. The amount of people going through the traffic circle
Yeah.
is what concerns me.
Yeah.
Well, and that,
Gilbert's corner every day?
Yeah, no, I'm okay with the traffic circle. It's how many people they're gonna try to pack into houses back there.
Okay.
That's then gonna,
The justification.
yeah, I don't mind the traffic circle at all. Doesn't bother
right.
me at
And all
all.
the preschool moms coming in and out of that thing, that's a scary thought.
The
And their cell
traffic
phones.
circle on 15, your major traffic is one direction, but when all of a sudden you got all the work traffic trying to come out of that complex involved with everyone going down it, then you really got a little mishmash going on
And
there.
schools and.
Actually, the Gilbert's Corner, I don't live that
It
far
works
from there,
well.
and
It works
I was thinking, hey, it works great, you know? Unfortunately, well, what I find out is I never go there during rush hour.
During rush
Because
hour,
someone was bad-mouthing it, they were just like, couldn't stand that thing, and I'm like, why? I go, it's
cannot
great.
possibly
Well,
anywhere
I
someone
hit that
else
at
is
rush
stumbling.
hour not that long ago, and you're right. You know, on 50, they're flowing, they got that flowing, and you can't get in. You can't.
In
Well,
Boston,
no
in
glory.
Boston, they
I know.
have those circles at the top
Well,
of the
actually,
ramp.
that's sort of what, yeah, I did,
who
yeah.
cares about your paint job?
Okay, the person in front of me couldn't get in, let me put it that way, and I had to wait on the person in front of me.
Well,
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll move on to old business then. The only thing on our task list, of course, is the sign.
Yes.
I did give
You got
him,
the card right here.
Bud's card. Here's some of the drawings that Bud
Okay.
did before as suggestions. It doesn't include the steel sign that I have. or-
where's our new sign? Did they put it up?
It was down there. In front of me.
I'm sorry. I think the bone's tired.
What's gonna go up on that? The Boy Scout
Oh, the Boy Scout thing, yeah.
Whatever they've got. So I really like this. I love the graphic. I love the black and white. I love the bold. I love the old and the new. So, I mean, that might be something that
Yeah. Was it
I would
that?
love to see it. Well, this is for outdoors.
Yeah,
I mean, it's weather, for weather.
okay, yeah.
It's just to go on, the, but,
Yeah, and wherever there's a green sign for Haymarket town limits, all I wanted was something similar to that, just in a square sign, kind of like a speeding sign, that has that emblem with
Yeah.
like welcome
yeah,
underneath
I like
it.
that. I mean, I'd love to see that puppy
That was part of
everywhere.
that approach that I had.
Yeah, no, I mean,
And there's nothing in there on those type of signs, the simple
Jen said that,
metal
that
signs.
it was budgeted $25,000, I guess, in the 2016 budget. I guess that happened from before, projected.
Yeah, there's money in the budget for it.
Yeah.
So if we can get something together in the next 6 to 8 months, the projected budget,
Wet.
so, and I don't, so, yeah, I'll come back to you with,
Yeah, and I think we tried to throw in the museum sign as well, to replace the museum sign. I guess that's starting to weather. So, make sure you keep that in mind too, Pam.
I'll write that one down, because, so we're talking about the 4 entryways and the museum.
Yeah. Well,
That'll
we
be
had
a separate,
in,
that
but-
won't, no, but that should,
That'll be,
it's a
that'll
different
be-
ballgame.
Yeah, that'll be part of the facade
I mean,
expenses.
that
think.
sign down there was $400, just that little round thing right there, because that's what I was told.
From where?
Nice big piece of sheet metal.
Because it's,
Exactly.
so, that's what Jen said.
It's my next career.
Okay. And truly, that's all that's
Okay.
on the agenda.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting's adjourned.